HorrorPress.com, a space for horror fans to connect and share their opinions on horror and its many forms. From movies, TV shows, video games, and more, HorrorPress.com, a blog created by horror fans for horror fans.
Welcome to the Horror Hour.
Hello, and welcome to the Horror Hour, the show where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. We are your hosts. I'm Liam. And I'm joined by Yutaka.
Hello.
And George.
Hello.
Welcome. So today we are doing a delightful Valentine special. All things horror and love. Come on.
Wow.
My homos. And it's Valentine.
These are facts.
So, obviously, it is going to be all about the heart today. So, to start, as you can probably tell by my background and Yutaka's background, we are going to discuss Valentine. George hasn't watched Valentine until just prior to recording this. So, I don't think we should waste any time. I think we should find out George's thoughts on Valentine. George, go ahead.
Well, can I?
Sorry.
Because I always got to interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
We should let it be known that George has not seen a lot of 80s, 90s, and maybe even early 2000s horror films. So we're going to work on that. This was one of them.
Yes. This was the first, only because, obviously, time of year.
Yeah. No,
So-
I was like, I watched, when I started getting into horror, I made sure I watched all the classic films to tick them. I mean, the official classics. I know you're going to go, well, these are classics, but you know what I mean? Like the top tier franchise things. And then I continued watching horror from a few years ago. So but there's so much horror to watch. And so, yes, there is lots of films I haven't seen. So there'll probably be a series called George's Thought. I don't know. Basically, there's a lot of horror films I haven't seen that these two have, and this is one of them. But I've watched it as of 20 minutes ago. I finished watching this film.
Go on, give us your initial blast of
Oh,
thought.
hold on, wait. Liam, do you like this film?
I rewatched this film and also finished it 20 minutes ago.
It's good to be in the top of your brain, though.
My initial I enjoyed this when I was younger. Shine got rubbed off of it a little bit. I will not lie.
Okay.
But I'd already seen it, so George, go.
Yeah, I didn't like.
Well, you did know.
I didn't mind this film. I probably enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Having said that, I wouldn't watch it again. I thought it was a really good. I enjoyed the story. Was interesting, but I have to say, actually, to be fair, do you mind if I just kind of read my thoughts that I wrote down? Because it might just be easier for me, just as I was watching the film. And if there's any point you want me to want to stop and talk about something, we can do that. So I started off by saying, obviously, it opens with the prom scene. And I said, everyone who is not Jeremy Milton can die. Because everyone was so rude to that poor lad, and he seemed really, really nice. And I was like, bless him. And all these bitches who had hair that looked like it hadn't been combed in 20 years and dresses looked like they got off their grandmothers had the audacity to say to that boy, "Ooh, go away." Look at yourself.
Technically, it was
It's basically supposed to be the
15
80s.
years.
Yeah.
15 years prior to this, when this film was actually made.
Yeah, it did give me 80s vibes. So
Well, because it was.
they did a very good job.
Wow. Wow.
So I said that, and then I said, "Where the hell are all the teachers?" Because that fight was going on a long time, and nobody turned up. So those teachers were either drunk or smoking behind the bike shed.
Or it was the 80s.
And there was no teachers in the 80s.
I mean, dances, the chaperones, not many.
Maybe that's an American thing.
Well, because the chaperones, it wasn't teachers, it was parents, wasn't it? And parents didn't want to do that.
Jeremy's parents obviously didn't turn up. They left him. Anyway.
George must be Jeremy, but continue.
I am the Jeremy of this story. Then we met all these women grown up. I said that Shelley probably should have been wearing like some jacket or something when she was dissecting that body, because she was just in a tank top, and like I was like, this is very early noughties, like female, like male gaze of having this like sexy woman in just a tank top, like operating on a body. Like, I don't think that's how they would normally do it.
I would agree with that. I thought that was very out of place originally. I was like,
but then when I watched it, I thought like it took me out, but then I was like, it's early noughties. Like that was the vibe, I feel like, in the early noughties, like horror films. There's a lot of like, you know, sexy women with like straightened hair.
But what, like, you know, med student or anybody who is going to cut open a body, like, you know what, I'm just going to wear a little bit of glass covering glasses, and you know what, tank top it all. Yeah, no, that was kind of dumb.
I mean, I'm surprised she had gloves on.
But I mean, let's be honest, all horror films have always been from the male gaze. It's only a very, very recent thing where people have went, what do you mean women watch horror films as well?
Let alone direct them or write for them.
Exactly. So things like that don't.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, yeah, it's a horror film.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is terrible or this is shocking. I was just like, of course she's examining a body in a tank top. Like, it was just like, you know, one of those things. Then of course, does this killer is the killer called like Cupid? You know, like Ghostface is called Ghostface. Is he called Cupid or Valentine, this killer? Or is he just like
Cupid? He's
called Cupid. Okay. Because obviously it is a Cupid. I mean, that Cupid, I said, like, had those little Angelina Jolie lips going on like that. Mask. I live for that. But what my issue was then was when she ran from said killer and thought, I'm going to hide in a body bag. And she heard him go in one by one, stabbing each one. After he'd stabbed the second one, I would have thought, he's going to be stabbing all these here. Let me get the fuck out of here while I can. She continued to stay there until the end. However, I will say I was shocked that she was killed at that point, to be honest. Like, I thought when I saw the cast and I was like, oh, Katherine Heigl, I thought she was going to be in it for a lot longer. So when she died, when they was just like slit her throat and then zipped her back up, I was like, oh, okay.
This was like like she had not hit her pinnacle of success in terms of, you know, Grey's Anatomy.
Like,
2001.
Yeah, this was like post Roswell? Or was this like during Roswell?
Ooh, good call on that. Yeah, I think it would. Ooh.
Either way, I was still shocked.
It was before she became super famous. Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely before her and Ashton Kutcher starred in Killers, which is one of my favorite films.
I love Killers.
It's a nice, fun film. Anyway, so I was sad that she died. I was like, oh, damn. And then we met.
Damn.
I was like, oh, that's a shame. Then we met everyone else, and I was like, well, obviously I saw their names come from the credits, but I was like, Marley Shelton has like not aged that much. Like, I was like, damn, she looks like really good.
No.
Like, she looked really good. And
hold on, but can we call out the horrible airbrushing on her face in the like movie poster?
Oh, there, yeah, I didn't realize that was her.
That's her.
I saw the poster.
That is, yep.
Oh Lord. Oh, I didn't think that was her.
Yep.
Yeah, to be honest, when I googled the film and that poster came up, I actually thought that was Sarah Michelle Gellar. And when she wasn't in the film, I was like, I'm sure she was on the poster. And then that's actually Marley Shelton.
Yeah, nope, that's Marley Shelton, right?
Well, she looked great in the film. So I don't know why they
like. I mean, she's gorgeous, but like, that's not Marley Shelton.
No, that is not. But she looked fine in the film anyway. And I wrote down as soon as Adam appeared, Adam is for sure Jeremy. I just like he was just acting dodgy. He had all this. I don't know what it was. I like when they were at that funeral, I was like, okay, this is Jeremy. But that didn't take it away from me either. And then I said Jeremy is really giving Hallmark a run for their money with the cards he was producing, because they were top tier. Like they would cost £5 in a card shop. Like he had little
It
things
would.
you could pull up and down. And I thought, he shouldn't be killing people. He should be selling these. Let me tell you, old women.
He probably bought it from there.
No, well, how did he add? I'm sure. I don't think you go to a card shop and say, "Hi, where are the ones with the murdering Valentine gifts in?" Like they're getting like the neck slit and stuff. Obviously, he wrote.
That's true.
But they were very nice cards anyway.
George wants one.
Yeah, and then and the next thing I wrote was about Kate's shower scene, which after watching Scream 5 just really reminded me of. I was thinking of Wes, and I was like, "Oh, that's so beautiful that his mother did a shower scene in this film." That just made me feel nice. And then I also said about that next door neighbor being an absolute freak, which obviously later on he was. Then I skip forward to the random sex party in the maze. Like everyone was that maze was really confused. I didn't know what was going on there and who.
That's when they killed off my favorite character.
Yeah, who I didn't realize until after Lily was. I was like, where do I know this woman from? And then I was like, oh, she's from White Chicks, which is what I knew her from.
White Chicks.
And you're going to say Urban Legend, aren't you?
Legally Blonde.
Was she in Urban Legend?
Yep. Yeah, both of those. Well, she was in Urban Legend 2, and she was in Legally Blonde.
Ah, okay.
She was in all of the Legally Blonde. Well, both of the Legally Blondes. She was Elle's best friend.
I know.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen Legally Blonde. Oh no. And so then I wrote that Katniss Everdeen is shook because Cupid came out there with those bow and arrow and shot her twice, and that was I thought that was really cool, the way she fell straight down and the garbage thing, the bin just went and closed on her. I was like, oh, that's a shame. Then I said about the iron scene with the next door neighbor, and I said, I mean, only the British people in the room are going to get this, but it was given Little Mo in EastEnders, which I had to Google, and that was actually after this. So I was like, did they copy? Maybe EastEnders were inspired, but basically for Utaka, there's a scene where this woman hits her abusive husband with an iron, and he gets
oh, okay.
So
fair enough.
I mean,
yeah, okay.
Yeah. 2002 that was. So yeah, and then I put one of my favorite lines in the film, which was said by Paige, was, "You brought me up here to show me your penis," which I thought was when she was in the room with I can't remember that guy's name now. Yeah, that was it. I was like, what? Very confusing. And then I loved when she poured the Jason or something. Was it in the Jason? Brian, that was it. I did like, oh yeah, there it was, Brian. And I did like that she poured the candle wax all over him. I thought that was quite funny. I love the house. The house is really cool, by the way.
Yes.
A really nice house. And I'd wondered where I'd seen that house before, and I found out that it was because
it's in something else, isn't it?
No, what it is when I was in my obsessive stage before when Scream 4 was announced, somebody had made a concept trailer, and the party scene, they used clips from this film as the party scene. And as soon as I saw the shot from the outside, I was like, oh my God, that's from the Scream 4 concept trailer that somebody made that I used to watch 20 years ago. So I know, that was quite nice. Then I wrote that it was nice to see Marley Shelton as a final girl and get something to do. I thought she was really, really good in this film, and probably one of my favorite things about it. And that makes me sad that she never got to do. I'm glad that it makes her what she did in Scream 2022 more I'm glad she got to do that, because obviously I hadn't seen her in anything before Scream 4. So watching this, I was like, oh my God. So I really liked that. And I said I would have really liked the twist to have been that Dorothy was the killer. Because I knew straight away, I'd already said that obviously it was him, we found that out, but then I was kind of I could tell when she opened that door and then Cupid came flying down the stairs, that it looked like he'd been chucked by somebody, which obviously that was the case. But I thought that would have been kind of interesting to do, because obviously before that you have that scene where she says about, I was always the fat one and blah blah, and I thought that would have been quite interesting to do, or if they'd been working together perhaps. But then I was kind of well, I'm glad she died, because she claimed that Jeremy had grabbed her and not abused her, but had forced himself on her at that prom. So I was like, do you know what, F off. I know I also wrote that the jacuzzi scene was iconic. That was a great scene. I love that. I was like, this poor girl, She was really try. And I also wrote after that scene an iconic line, which is, I wouldn't be surprised if we ever saw Denise Richards again. And my Trixie and Katya fans will know that one. But overall, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was an easy watch. I did enjoy it. It was very early noughties, but overall, like, you know, it's something you would put on and like what Yutaka would refer to as a popcorn flick, I would say. Like you put it on a Friday night, like you just want something on in the background if you've got friends around and you kind of like. So I did like it. I liked it more than I thought I would. And I probably would watch it if I had to, you know, I would probably watch it again, but I wouldn't be like, let me watch it right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I've rewatched it multiple times. I mean, now the fact that it's now on Shudder, yeah, I could see myself rewatching it more. You didn't mention one of my favorite kills though, and that was, I forgot her name, but Hetty Buress.
In the shower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite, like, because that was brutal.
There was quite a few brutal like kills where I was like, oh wow, like quite shocked at like the intricacy or like the way they went around them. Different.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Also, like, I don't know, maybe if that were me, I would have stayed hidden or underneath. Like, I wouldn't have. Nope, would have waited. Yep. Like the fact that she's like, I think I'm good to run. I'm like, no,
no, you're not. You're never good to run. No. Never. It's the one thing in horror movies that always annoys me because I'm just like, why? If you have found a hiding spot and the killer clearly didn't see you, why did you then choose to get up and move from that spot?
Yeah.
Stay there. Stay there for hours.
But that's why we like horror films, because they do stuff like that.
I know, but still. It's just one of them things where it's like...
Yeah. I know what you mean.
It's true. I know. It was just like but I remember watching it, I'm like, oh, she was on like when this came out, the sitcom she was on had already ended. And I was like, oh, it's so cool to see an actress. And I was like, well, that sucks. But she went on to be the voice of Yuna in Final Fantasy X.
Mm. The more you know.
The more you know.
But can I ask then, like, out of 10, what would you both give it?
I'll let you go first.
10 will shout once.
I would probably say around a 6 as well. I mean, yes, it's total popcorn. I remember when I saw it back, you know, back when it came out, because I'm old, but I enjoyed it. Rewatching it, I'm like, ooh, we got some script issues, some plot holes. Also, there's still that kind of ambiguous ending that I'm like, I wanted to see a sequel. Well, the way they kind of, you know, left it in a sense, it would have been great to be like, see Marley Shelton come back and have it, you know. So I remember when I saw this thinking, oh, this is going to do good. It's going to have a sequel. And it did not. And it bombed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a shame. I'd go for a 4.
Oh.
Okay. It was higher.
Until 20 minutes ago.
Until 20 minutes ago.
Damn, that's kind of harsh. Why a 4?
I forgot how ridiculous the ending is.
Okay.
I forgot how bad some of the acting is.
Okay, that's true. That is fair.
I forgot how many plot holes there were. I feel like I'd romanticize this film in my head because, as I said earlier, obviously you have them films where you watch them when you're younger and you're not like switched on enough to like fully get the plot holes or fully get like things. And then you watch it again when you're older and all of them things are like very much pointed out to you. And you're like, yeah, but I watched it when I was younger. So I still would watch this film again because let's be honest, I'm not a person who's like, well, that was shit and I'm never watching it again. Well, I am with some things, but it's very rarely. Like I watch like things like 2012 if I'm having like a shit time and I want to like cheer myself up. I'll put 2012 on because even though it's one of the worst films ever created, it's just fun to watch everyone die. And I think like I feel like this is now that I'm fully like stopped romanticizing this in my head as a better film than it was. This is going to be added to my list of films I watch when I'm a bit down. I want to be cheered up because, not gonna lie, it was very fun to watch Denise Richards get electrocuted in a hot tub.
Yeah,
I feel like it's what Denise Richards deserves.
Damn, do you not like Denise Richards?
No.
I have to ask though, was this film when it came out, was this like supposed to be marketed as like, because obviously this was 2001, so I'm wondering if it was, you know, it was obviously pre the end of the Scream trilogy. Was it supposed to be marketed as like the next like slasher, like, you know, or was it just kind of like a fun thing?
I mean, I remember the marketing because it came out during Valentine's Day, but it didn't pick up with audiences, and so it just didn't do well, which is a shame. But I forgot what it went up against. I feel like because lately, or actually, I do think Valentine's Day is still like a really good, profitable time at the movies. I feel like this opened up against something and it just didn't do, which is do good, which is a shame when you consider you've got two CW actors
who were both very, very popular at the time.
Yeah, and Denise Richards was too, because this was after her Bond stint, I think.
Was she the world was not
possibly
enough?
Or either way, like her star was still like, you know, she was kind of still relevant. I mean, she kind of is.
Yeah,
still,
she still is. Yeah.
The World Is Not Enough was 1999, and this was
so she was still kind of like writing that. This had everything,
and Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Like
I was gonna say it was like because obviously Starship Troopers was a big break, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Then Wild Things, which have you watched that one?
You know he hasn't.
Are you talking to me?
Yes,
yeah.
you.
No.
Exactly.
But what happened to I'm Nev Campbell's super fan?
That's one of the only. That's probably actually one of the only films of hers that I haven't seen. That's the one with Kevin Bacon.
George is a fraud.
Don't listen.
Sydney, he hates you. It is the one with Kevin Bacon and Matt Dillon, yeah.
Yeah, I just never. Is it
with
good?
Denise Richards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah, it was like she was riding high on like Starship Troopers, Wild Things, Bond. To be fair, she wasn't well received as Bond.
But it was still
the Bond franchise. But she did regain some of that, like she was shitting Bond with Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Either way, she like this had a cast that was geared towards, you know, that audience, the younger crowd. It didn't land.
No,
that's a shame. There's always those films, but no, I have to say, I do think it was, you know, it was a laugh, and you know, I'd say like I enjoyed watching it in terms of like I'm glad I watched it because it, you know, it's like a film that I feel like a lot of people probably like talk about, like you say, like reminisce about. Oh, do you remember Valentine? Like that's one of those sort of films that always comes up in conversations with like horror fans. So I did like it. Well, it came up with you two.
That's only because this more came up one. God, my beard is really disheveled. I'm so sorry. This is why we're all single. Well, this is why I'm single. They're why they're single.
I haven't got a beard.
I'm single because I'm picky.
But this came up because you had mentioned you hadn't seen Urban Legend, which shocked Liam and I
to the core.
Because Urban Legend though is fucking fantastic. I have rewatched that, and that still holds.
Yes, it does.
George.
I and so we started talking about all of these, and they're like, oh, Valentine's Day is coming up. Let's And then you said you hadn't seen Valentine. We're like, well, obviously, come on.
So. No, I'm glad I watched it. I did enjoy. I enjoyed it. As I say, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I thought going in, oh god, like I wasn't sure if you two were like doing it as a joke, like this film's terrible. Like let's make him watch it. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it was like a lot of fun.
You've made us watch worse, so
name, and don't even go there.
He's never made me watch anything because I've never paid attention to anything he's recommended.
Oh. Well, I remember, I'm going to find the tape and the receipt because actually, Yutaka said once in one of our episodes, George
one time.
He said something about George is always given off about all these films, but to be fair, and on occasions he has given some half decent recommendations.
You remember how I actually gave, which I was even more shocked too, when we're talking about films never seen. I had never seen up until this point the original Paranormal Activity.
Yeah,
a while back. We did a video that it didn't land, which is why you've never seen it, because it's no longer kind of like a film you can watch and be like, oh, like the reactions were not there clearly. But I actually still liked that film because it was done very well. And I think it would have been more effective had back in the day I saw that in theaters. I could see how it became like the phenomenon that it did.
Yeah.
Now watching it though, like on TV, it's not the same because you're not in that same element, but I do appreciate a lot that was put into Paranormal Activity. Did it need to last as long as it has? No, neither. There are other franchises I could say the same. Saw,
Halloween,
and I would not go that route because
not the fracking.
But yeah, I didn't.
No singing.
I was humming. I did enjoy it, but yeah. So that was my thoughts on Valentine. I appreciate you allowing me and giving me the airspace to discuss those thoughts.
I will not lie. I honestly thought you were going to hate it. Which is why I was pushing you to watch it.
Well, I was pushing you to watch it just because you should still see some of these horror films from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, because some are, again, they're still fun. This is by no means, a great film. I would be pissed if you didn't like Urban Legend. Urban Legend 2, okay. But Urban Legend was done so well. So I would be really upset with that one. And actually another horror film that just dropped on Shudder that everybody's been raving about, which is Brittany Murphy is in, Cherry Falls.
Yes.
Yeah, good one.
I'm fairly certain George hasn't seen that.
I know it's dropped on Shudder. I know it's dropped on Shudder because I got the email.
About? Do you know what it's about? It's actually a really fun premise.
Cherry trees falling over.
Oh God. No, it's a killer who is only killing virgins. So people are trying to lose their virginity so they don't get killed.
Cherry. Okay. That does sound quite funny, actually.
It's a fun one. I enjoyed it.
Peak Brittany Murphy. It was just after Drop Dead Gorgeous, to be fair.
I wouldn't say it's peak Brittany Murphy.
Well, but still.
No, there's some really good. Oh, Jesus! I was going to say she's got some really.
She
good
died from mold.
Projects.
No, I killed her because I'm a witch, and I made a joke that she was dead, and then literally within an hour she died.
That happened to me actually. Well, not with Brittany Murphy, but we, me and my friend were watching Game of Thrones, and it had what's the actress's name? She passed away. She was in Last Night in Soho.
Famous actress. She was Emma Peel. Diana Rigg.
Diana Rigg, yeah. And in that episode, she dies. And the day that we posted it, an hour later, Diana Rigg died. Like real life, the day we posted, we were like, and everyone in the comments was like, did you know this was going to happen? It was quite iconic. Anyway,
did you cry
when she died? What, Diana Rigg?
No, in your video.
Not the second, no, because it was the second time, so I didn't cry that time. The first time I watched it, I did cry. But anyway, we went off on a tangent there. Let's get back
so you have fake reactions?
Tell Cersei it was me.
Oh, I know. Iconic. I'm going to ignore what Yutaka said, because I've had that for the last 5 years on my channel, and all my reactions are fake because I show emotion. Well, guess what? Go and watch somebody else's channel if you want someone to sit there bored. So Valentine's Day, we also said that we would discuss our favorite horror couples in terms of horror movie couples, whether that be literal like horror murdering couples or just couples within horror films that we stan. I would like to go first because I don't want anyone else to steal mine.
Oh, you're going to have the same as me, aren't you? Go on.
Am I?
I assume so. You're a basic bitch. I'm a basic bitch. Probably going to have the same person. People. Go.
The Warrens in The Conjuring.
Wow. Okay. No. I went a different. I thought we were going.
I already know where. Oh, are you going Chucky and Tiffany?
Yeah.
Well,
I thought we were going like horror couples, like not just couples in horror films.
Because
like...
we prepare everyone. No, we were just saying couples in horror.
General. But obviously there are some. I did because I did think of them and I was thinking
the Warrens. That's a good one though.
I honestly they carry that franchise. And it's about them, so they should carry it. But I mean,
I was going to say
Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson as a couple together just are like they were made to be a couple on film. Like they just and like The Conjuring 2 in particular, I'll always remember as like a scene when I went to see it in the cinema was when he starts singing Elvis Presley, "I Can't Help Fall in Love with You," and I was like, and she's like, oh, I love it. So I put them as like top tier because I just think in terms of like new horror as well, like they really have, and the Conjuring films obviously, you know, really great films, and they've really helped, you know, move the horror genre forward in the last 10-20 years. But yeah, that was like my like when we initially talked about it, they were the first people to come to my head. So I'd be interested to know who everyone else has got. I mean, I guess you kind of said one of them, but
well, I'll let you try to go first because I'm changing my mind.
Oh, good. I wasn't
now that we're encompassing everything. I thought it was like actual like.
I just thought that there are a few of them, but there's more. Like, you know, it's you know.
There's like an abundance of couple, just generic couples in horrors. So that's why I thought, because it was like our picks for the top couple horror couples. I thought that was going to be like. Actual
well, just don't say.
Well, you know, well, I'm just gonna say again, Chucky and Tiffany, because come on, they're like one of the best, and I don't know. I mean, fucking Jennifer Tilly's great as Tiffany, and I mean, Chucky's Chucky, and the series has just been beautiful, and it's great to see them back, and Chucky and Tiffany. Also, they have some really great kills. I love Bride of Chucky, like the waterbed kill.
Yeah.
Wow. Go ahead, guys. Give me nothing.
Well,
give me all that energy.
I assumed you were going to continue.
I know. I thought you were going to carry on with like kills. You like some great kills. The bed.
So we're like,
No, because you guys.
So there's no other great kills. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, because you guys are just so energetic today.
You say that every time we film that we've got no energy. I've got more energy than both
Liam
of you put together. Please, I could energize you both under the couches.
Yutaka, was there any more kills you would like?
No. I mean, George had his moment, so I'm gonna let him live that.
Thank you.
I am changing it to Seymour and Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors.
Suddenly Seymour
standing beside me.
Ooh.
Little Shop of Horrors is a great film.
Little Shop of Horrors is a great film. Yes, it might be a musical, but it is also a horror. I'm obviously going to love that film. And I think they're one of the best couples, period.
What in
So,
like in cinema?
in cinema, yeah. I just
Am
think it's so
right?
cute.
Oh,
I love
this
them.
is such a interesting.
Take.
Yeah.
I do think I like them as a couple.
I was gonna pick Chucky and Tiffany, but that's because I thought we were going for like
Well,
couples that kill.
when you
So it was
changed your
between
mind,
them and natural born killers. So I was like,
See, that's a good one too. I do like that one.
but then when you said it's not relating to actually being part of the horror, if that makes sense, it's more like just in general.
You could say the people on your t-shirt are a couple.
Well, they could, yeah, you could.
Now that's a great film.
I
You have
thought
seen that one, right,
No.
George?
no. I know that she gets shot like through like.
I was shocked, honey. I was in tears almost.
I only watch films that I've seen before.
George,
That doesn't make sense.
But what I was going to say is, I thought when you changed your mind, you were going to say Dewey and Gale.
Oh.
no, because I don't like Dewey.
No, but
Oh.
Welcome back to Liam's hot takes of Scream.
Holy
He doesn't like Nev. He doesn't like Sydney. He doesn't like Nev. He doesn't like Sydney, and he doesn't like Dewey.
Yeah, I like Nev. I don't like Sydney.
Yeah.
I find Sydney as a character.
We don't need to go over it. We don't need to go over
We're
it.
not going down.
Yeah,
that
we don't
rabbit
need to
hear
go
that
over it.
again, please.
I don't just to clarify, I don't hate either of these characters. I don't hate Dewey and I don't hate Sydney, but I just don't.
I just
like them.
realized this is the only time I'll say this too. George is the Sydney. Liam is the Gale. Oh fuck, I'm Dewey. Oh
Yeah.
Yeah. But that means that people like most people. You're the most people's favorite character. I would say most people are like, "Oh, Dewey." People every time we turn on the podcast, people go, "Oh, Yusaka."
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. That
Then
feeds my ego.
People
I'll
see
take that one.
people see me and they think, "Oh, he's making it all about him again." Like Sydney, and Liam's always bitching about somebody and trying to get gossip and
A bitchy loudmouth who wants to be the center of attention on the news
and obviously
and get a next book best-selling
Yeah.
book.
and Ben is Tate.
Sounds like me. Dead.
Ben's dead.
Never
They'd
coming
be like,
back.
didn't you have an Irishman? No,
No, that
we
was
didn't.
in a
That was
parallel
special
world.
effects.
Yeah. Well, Yutaka, did you have any other couples that you were standing other than Miss Chucky and Miss? I was going to say Miss Cindy. I was thinking of scary movie.
Well,
It's actually-
well, it's not a horror
Okay.
movie, but I mean Buffy and Angel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Come on,
it's a horror series.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up on
Spike
Buffy and
and-
Angel.
Spike and Dahlia. Dahlia.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Darling.
Richard,
no.
Well, then, I mean, they're not really a couple. I was going to say Cordelia and Misty Day from American Horror Story. Because people stand them. People stand them. People like me stand them. Does anybody watch American Horror Story? Okay.
I do. Which one?
Who was Misty Day? Was
Misty
that
Day was the Stevie Nicks one. And everyone shipped the hell out of her and Cordelia.
Why?
Did they?
Because like in Coven, they were like kind of like there was like hardly anything, but there's like hints. And then when she came back in Apocalypse, spoiler alert, she was like, "Oh my god, Misty!" Like, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're supposed to be together."
How does that have anything to do with Cordelia?
Cordelia is Sarah Paulson.
Oh,
He's not talking about Cordelia from Buffy.
see, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, sorry, no, I was getting confused. Yeah,
She's
That's
old.
why I was just
if
like,
the two people
who
have
are
the
the-
same name, confusion.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I,
meant
was just like, how the
Sarah
Look over there.
Paulson.
Yeah. Yes.
I meant Cordelia from American Horror Story. Sarah Paulson's Cordelia, and Misty
Okay.
Day, who is I just forget her name, but she's a great actress.
Lee Rabe.
That's it, Lily Rabe. I would add those to my list because although they're not technically a couple, they were great.
They were stand.
They were.
Actually, to be fair, no one's mentioned probably is the most famous horror couple of all time.
Grace and Vin.
that relationship is over.
Frankenstein.
Sorry, that was an inside joke. Sorry.
And his wife.
Huh? Who?
Santa and his wife.
Frankenstein and his wife.
Oh, did you just say Santa?
I think you
and
said
his
Santa and his wife,
wife?
and I was like,
No.
I don't remember that.
Yes, Santa and Mrs. Claus. They are the biggest
and
horror.
technically in Fat Man, I mean, they were. Well, they weren't.
True.
That's not a horror film, but
No.
they were killing tons of people.
Do you know what? Actually, I found it rather difficult to find more like horror couples because you were like, "Oh, it's easy if we're going to put it out to every."
I'm not the one who said I wanted to do that,
baby.
but,
I wasn't. I'm talking to Liam.
Oh,
like because it would be even more difficult if we just done horror like couples who are killers because then there is even less like me. Like I was trying to think real hard about couples in general who are in horror films.
But okay, well, before though, I want to mention kind of I guess my topic was also what I thought in my head was like a fun one, but and still technically is, I think. But since we're doing Valentines, I wanted to talk about deaths that involve the heart because there's some really gnarly kills. Either where, okay, well, you've got the OG and since Suspiria. None of you have seen Suspiria. It's got one of the best openings.
It's the black and white film, right? With the
no,
it's like the
Dario
crazy
Argento.
70s.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Witches.
I will
Witches make in a dance studio.
How fucking dare you? as Gigi told her parents, it's the prequel to Step Up. So mean. I love it. But no, it's actually a really, I would say, George, I think you would love this just also because well, the witchy vibe, but I think it's total, the colors total, was it giallo? Is that how you pronounce that?
Giallo inspired, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dario Argento did so much of that and did it so well. But Suspiria had one of the most famous, like, this lady literally was getting stabbed in the heart, and so the camera then was on the inside of the body and you would see the heart get punctured and then the blood come out and the way the colors were. Meanwhile, she's also getting hung and then falls through the glass window or glass ceiling, and then the shards of glass that are coming down end up, don't technically really chop anybody or chop in half, but like all like impale another dance studio, I guess, or dancer. There we go. I couldn't think. Sorry. But it's honestly, I'm not doing it justice. Just go watch the opening alone. But that's that's the first thing that came to mind. Then also I thought of Deep Star 6, where this person got punctured with the I don't know what that device is. They use it underwater and it's got like a pressurized tip that if you hit something, press the button, it'll and somebody got like
I knew what type
and so
I don't know what it's called though. I
don't know either, but it was actually really fun. Deep Star 6 is also a fun film. And then also there's My Bloody Valentine, where you had boxes of hearts being thrown all about in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the remake where that one chick was literally in the back alley, ripped open, and her heart was in the heart-shaped box.
Well, the only one that I came up with, which I said in our chat, was the was when Jill Roberts stabs Charlie in the heart, and he's like, the heart, not the way we rehearsed it. So I quite like that because he was in love with her, and she was like, "Oh, you want me to? I stole your heart. Well, bitch, I'm gonna really just steal it right now out of your body," which I appreciated, and that led on to one of the best reveal scenes of any Scream film. So, that was mine because I really couldn't think of them.
Yeah, I can't think of any. The only thing involving the heart that I can think of is from Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's a good one. What is that? Temple of Doom.
Oh.
Is there anything oh, actually,
this people,
yes,
no titles.
I do know now. I do know one. It's not a horror film. I really enjoyed it.
That's okay.
Everyone else in the world hated it. Mother, he pulls her heart out.
You liked that film?
I was the only person in the world that loved that film. I made my parents watch it. They turned it off after 20 minutes and said, this is someone trying to make a, say, oh, this is about something else, when it's just bullshit. And they refused to watch it again.
I mean, it was bullshit, but
I loved it. And nobody else enjoyed it. And I'm here to say that today. And there's a scene where he pulls her heart out. And so that's the only other one that I can think of. So yeah, but I think we need more Valentine love movies. Not Valentine this film. I mean, like,
I was like, are you wanting a sequel?
Oh my God, Mari, let's do it.
Kind of would enjoy a sequel, to be fair.
I would love I'd love to see Marley Shelton back.
She's not busy at the moment, so
oh yeah, I guess she won't be in the next Scream.
Yeah.
Spoilers if you haven't watched the new Scream.
R.I.P.
Because obviously both of them are still alive.
What?
It's very late here, madam. If I need to yawn, I'll yawn. Both of them are still alive and acting, aren't they? David Boreanaz.
He's in.
Yeah, there we go.
And
he's in Bones, isn't he?
No, that's over, sir. Yeah, he's in SEAL Team 6 or something.
So there we go. Bring them both back.
I'd actually rather see Bones come back. That was a great show.
It could be him going after the bullies.
But then it couldn't be. I mean, I suppose he could write Valentine.
Because one of them bullies is still an actor now. He was in He was Mickey in Shameless.
No shit. Oh, I gotta go back and what?
And because he was in Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 as well.
I've not seen the Twilight.
He was like another the blonde Russian.
Oh yeah.
I wanted the war with the Volturi.
The Volturi come here today.
I've never seen the Twilight films.
Well, they're iconic and people don't like them. And again, people just don't have taste. So what a way to finish off the episode.
I do know Anna Kendrick's in those.
Oh my God, she has one of the best lines in one of the films where she's at the wedding and she says about suddenly Edward was all about Bella, even though she's not the captain of the volleyball team. I'm just kidding. Or the president of the student council. I was like, that would be me at a wedding. But anyway, how can we wrap this up, guys? Let me ask you this then. What final question? What do you think is like what's the perfect movie to watch on Valentine's Day? People are wondering, what should I watch? What are you suggesting? It doesn't have to be about Valentine's.
Oh, what would I recommend?
What would you recommend, George, since you asked the question? Because you've got one on mind.
I would probably say The Blair Witch Project. Because I'd recommend any found footage film for. I'm trying to think. No, actually, do you know what I would recommend? I'll tell you what I recommend.
Tell us.
Either two of these: Ghost Ship or 13 Ghosts.
Oh,
I love both those films.
I would recommend Heathers.
Okay, yeah.
George, have you watched Heathers yet?
I have, yes, because I went to see the musical and then I watched it after I saw the musical. And I preferred the musical.
Of course you did.
Fucking Christ. Okay. I guess if it were me for Valentine, I would honestly, it's gonna sound cheesy, but I would like to say probably My Bloody Valentine remake. It was actually really good. I remember also when it came out, it did great at the box office and critics actually praised it.
Yeah.
I thought okay.
It didn't flop.
It was like 2009, was it? 2009, 2010 when that came out.
Let me put it this way.
It was like when Jensen Ackles was in his like little
I think I want to say it opened up still like almost around 20. Like
I remember it did quite well money-wise, but I don't remember it getting a good
I'm not saying like super great critics, but critics still praised a good portion of it. Like it it wasn't that it wasn't poorly received. Let me put it that way. I'm not saying it was, some great horror film, but it was well received and audiences enjoyed it. I want to say it was number one twice in a row, which I think I have to look.
I remember this. I wasn't super into that was when I was going through me phase of just out all the time. So I wasn't really paying attention to cinema at that moment in time.
And I just remembered a couple that I forgot to mention earlier. Sorry, so I would like to just quickly interject before we finish.
Go on, interject your answer.
I was going to interject some too because I wasn't done, but go ahead.
I would say 28 Days Later, Selena and Jim.
Oh,
iconic. Love them.
Okay.
And I also want to say Dawn of the Dead remake, Anna and Michael. And she's like,
good remake.
Don't stay. And he's like, I'm just going to stay here for a while. Watch the sunrise. I'm like, no. And then it doesn't matter because they're all going to die anyway on that island. But still. So yeah.
That was a great film.
Great film.
What a great remake. But I was going to say, actually, whatever happened to that actress? I know she became a writer and a director. I miss her though.
Sarah Polley.
Yeah. She did
a couple of things, didn't she? But yeah.
But I would say, speaking of My Bloody Valentine, Jamie King is a scream queen that I don't think gets a lot of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about when you were talking about My Bloody Valentine, I was just about to say, and it has Jamie King in it, who's great.
She was in the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake, which was again, as Liam likes to joke, that was one of my favorite movies because one of the worst little evil shits was killed.
Yeah.
And you don't see that a lot in cinema where they kill the kid.
Nope.
It doesn't happen.
That reminds me of the film.
Santa.
You want to watch the film The Children? I mean, there was an original one, but the 2008 remake was iconic. Have you seen The Children? It's about an airborne virus that makes kids kill their parents.
Oh yeah, this is a UK film though, isn't it?
Yeah, the one in the 70s, and then they did it, and they had that
they
girl.
remade it with
what
was it Christopher Reeves in a version of it as
No,
well?
you're thinking of Village of the Damned. I know which one you're talking about because it was they went to like some cottage. There was snow
and it was
around.
snow.
Yes.
Oh my god,
that had
so
some
good.
like gruesome deaths
with the earring. Oh
yes. Oh, that's a good.
And it had Hannah.
Do
you remember Hannah Toynton? She was really famous like years ago, and she was younger. She was in The Inbetweeners. I'm talking like obviously now to Liam.
I know this is more for Liam.
And she was in Hollyoaks.
Yeah,
and she was the moment for a while, and then everyone thought she was going to be like Megan Fox or something. It never happened.
No.
So anyway, sorry, I was just remembering we tried. Children.
But that's a good film.
Really love.
I love this tangent because there are some really great films we have recommended.
Yeah. So guys, sorry this film. This has been a long episode, but it was worth it to get to this.
Yes. Thank you for joining us for our rants, ravings, and lunacies.
Yes.
Join us next time. There will be more. Also, I think that hey,
don't put him down.
I'm trying. What are you doing, sir, apart from being a twat? So yes, join us again. Also, follow us on our socials at The Horror Hour TV on Instagram and Twitter. Obviously, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications, all that good shit. We do a lot of things. So you should get a lot of notifications.
Yes, that's true. We are very haphazard with our stuff. I can't help it. I consume a lot of stuff. These two are interviewing people because, they're icons. Good for them.
We are the moment.
And
so
Ben
also,
Ben's still dead.
I would like, Ben somewhere. A ditch, a forge. Also interact with us on Twitter and recommend us things that you think George should watch next horror-wise.
Ooh.
Welcome to this series.
We might try this stuff that obviously both of us might need to watch, because when I was going through, because we have made a list, people. So chuck recommendations at us. We will check our list and see where we go from there. So thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.